Hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 3 English lesson on capitalization. And before we start with our lesson on capitalization, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we select the subject of language arts, and then grade 3. Once we selected the subject of language arts, grade 3, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of capitalization. So this is a continuation of the previous lesson that we did on capitalization, and we specifically focused on capitalizing the names of people and pets and titles of respect. We also capitalized days of the week, months of the year, as well as like our special holidays, right? Like Christmas, and any other holidays that you have specifically within your country. So today we are going to continue our chapter on capitalization, and there are still like a few other titles that we are going to focus on that we need to capitalize. But keeping in mind, when capitalizing, right, your start of a sentence, whenever you start a sentence, it needs to be with the capital letter. When you write the days of the week, it's capital letter, months of the year, as well as your holidays, even your pet. But if you just say my dog, my cat, then dog, cat is not capitalized, but the name of your dog, the name of your cat, the name of your fish, that is capitalized. So our chapter that we will be focusing on is capitalization. And like I say, it is a continuation of our previous lesson that we did. So we're just going to finish off the chapter, right? So it's English Language Arts, grade 3. And the lessons that we are going to focus on today on capitalization is capitalizing the names of places and geographical features. We're going to capitalize proper adjectives, nationalities, and languages. And then we're just going to have a review on overall on capitalization, right? And literally everything that we had mentioned. So capitalization, right? It means using capital or uppercase letters, right? So it means that your letters are, it's not lowercase, right? So those are capitalization. And of course, there are a few things that you need to capitalize, right? Most times we capitalize certain things out of respect, right? Like, for example, our names and surnames, we capitalize those out of respect, right? It's our name. It's if you say you're Canadian, right? Then I feel like that shows a form of um proudness, So it also needs to be capitalized. So when we write it with a capital letter, and then it means that we're using capitals or we're using uppercase letters, right? And usually when capitalization, right, we capitalize places names like Canada and South Africa, family members' names, your names of your parents, grandparents, siblings, the days of the weeks, right? are all standard English of capitalization. And when we're using capital letters at the start of a sentence, right, which is also important, if we start our sentence or when we start our sentence, we need to use capital letters. So the start of the sentence, or let's say the first letter of that sentence, needs to be a capital letter. Also, words that, let's say, we emphasize on, right, should also be capitalized. And when it comes to capitalization, it's like I was saying, like when it comes to names and nationalities and titles of respect, and then we definitely need to capitalize. We need to capitalize and put a capital letter to show that, you are putting some form of respect on it, right? And yes, we do forget, but remember when you write your name and surname, it needs to be with a capital letter. When you write the start of a sentence, it needs to be capital letter. If you go to Dr. Adams and then you need to write Dr. with a capital letter, right? If you make mention of your president, whoever, and then you need to write that with capital letters. So we said that we are going to, one of our lessons is to capitalize names of places as well as geographical features, right? So we basically need to capitalize names of places, your cities, your states, your countries, right? And your continent. These are all words, not even words, but these are things that you need to capitalize, right? So you need to capitalize this. So we said, for example, London needs to be capitalized, right? So we capitalize London, North Dakota, for example, Mexico, Africa, right? These are places that we capitalize. And as you can see, the first letter is capitalized, right? So even places built by people, such as buildings or your bridges or your streets, right? Your deserts and forests, right? These are all places and things that you need to capitalize, right? Monuments, right? Um, Even your name of your school, you need to capitalize, right? Um, so whatever the name of your school is, you need to capitalize it. And here's an example even of a school, Linden High School. But if you just say, I go to school, right? So if you just say, I go to school, and then you write school in lowercase. But if you say, I go to Linden High School, then we capitalize it, right? And then geographical features, right? Such as bodies of water, oh, and mountains, deserts, and forests. These are places and things that we need to capitalize, like the Nile River, Mount Everest. Here in South Africa, we have one of our seven wonders, and it is our mountain, which is Table Mountain. So that is also something that you capitalize, right? So when it also comes to capitalization, right? Sometimes within, let's say, within a title of something, right? There'll be things like of or the. But remember, we do not capitalize of or the. So of or the will sometimes be in a specific title, right? and then you need to write that in a lowercase. So yeah, so if that is the name of your school, is it Keatsway Primary School? That is in capital letters. But we don't write words like the and of, right? Unless the and of is the first word of the sentence. And also Declaration of Independence. These are all words and things and places, right? And it's basically things of respect that we need to capitalize. And, all right, what's happening with my laptop? Okay, so our lesson on capitalization, we are also doing on aplusstudents.ca. So we are doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. And if you do want to go back, recap, go over the work, and then you can go to a plus students.ca. So that is where we are basically doing our tutorial lessons on. All right. Just give me 1 second. What is happening? All right. My laptop is. All right, so let's go on while my laptop is giving me a few problems. All right, so we also mentioned that when we capitalize a few things, right? We said that we capitalize places, geographical features, right? And then we also, just to go back and to recap again, we also need to capitalize names of like your name, right? So titles of your name and your surname, names of pets, right? So these are things that we need to capitalize, right? And then we also said the start of a sentence. So if you think of a sentence like I was making mention of I go to school or I go to Kidsway School, right? And then the first letter, right? Or the first word or the first letter of that specific word, it needs to be capitalized. Um, let's say the dog jumps over the fence, right? So the dog jumps over the fence. As you can see, the first letter or the first letter of that word of the first sentence, all right, of that sentence needs to be capitalized. But if the word the is within a title, right? And then the needs to be in lower cases. And also, if you look at this, it says the dog, right? And as you can see, dog is written in lower cases, right? So dog is written in lower cases. But as soon as I say the name of the dog, right? It's like I make mention of my name, my dog's name, right? As soon as we make mention of like a name of the dog, and then that is going to be capitalization. That's going to be with a capital letter. So then it's capital letter for cinnamon, right? And then that is with a capital letter. Just give me 1 second. I don't know what's happening over here. All right. I do apologize for the delay. I don't know. This is just freezing. All right, there we go. All right, so now we're going to a plus students.ca, right? So we're going now to a plus students.ca, and we are going to capitalizing the names of people, places, sorry, and geographical features. And we made mention of a few of these that we need to capitalize, like your names of places, like the name school, and the names of your school, and even like Judy said, she goes to or she attends. If you make mention of a school, she goes to Keats Way Primary School. And as you can see, we also write that in capital letters, right? So that is the name of her school. So even if you write the names of some, example, Judy, we write it with a capital letter, right? I'm just gonna look at names. Patrick, right? We write it with a capital letter. These are names of people that we need to write in capital letter. If you live in Canada, then Canada needs to be with a capital letter, right? Like I'm from South Africa, so it is with a capital letter. So these are names of people, countries, names of schools or cities or so on, right? That we need to write in capital letters, right? And like I say, when it comes to names of places, your nationality, right? Oh, pure look. I thought it's primary school because usually we say primary school within our country. All right, so let's just say Kidsway PS. So PS. Public school. Yes. So we're going to say PS, right? So when it comes to names of places, your sometimes even your, like we say, titles of respect, um, even nationalities, right? We need to write that in a capital with capital letter because that also shows, like, let's say, signs of respect, right? So now it says we need to click to the correct capitalization if need. If the sentence is already correct, then don't make any changes. My, my mother bought two of oranges in Florida. So if we look at this word Florida, right? Specifically that word because it is in bold or it's in a different color. What changes do you think we need to make when it comes to Florida? Is that sentence correct? Should we leave it in lower cases or should it be in capital letter? All right, so if we look at the word Florida, right, we need to write it with a capital letter because it's a name of a place. So Florida. So it says, my mother bought 2 pounds of oranges in Florida. That needs to be in, like, with a capital letter. Florida, because it's a name of a place. Around 70 languages are spoken by people in Kenya. So Kenya, if you look at the word Kenya, should we make any changes or should the sentence stay the same? Should that word stay the same? Kenya. Or should we capitalize it? Should it be a capital letter? Or how should we make any form of changes when it comes to Kenya? And Kenya is also a name of a place. All right, so if we look at the word Kenya, right, and then we need to write Kenya with a capital letter. So Kenya needs to be written with a capital letter. And yet says how many people live in the main, right? And that we leave the same. Now let's go to our test where we are going to be capitalizing the names of places as well as geographical features. All right, so here it says click to correct the capitalization if needed, right? If the sentence is already correct, then we do not make any changes. The country of Chile is long and narrow. So the word in blue. Do we leave it lower cases or do we write it with a capital letter? So this word chili, do we write it with a lowercase or capital letter? So the country, remember it's the name of a country. They're saying the country of Chile is long and narrow. So yes, we write it with a uppercase. We write it with a capital letter because if it's the name of a country, and then we need to write it with a capital letter. So well done. I love to go shopping in New York City. So New York City, is there any changes that we need to make within the sentence? Like for example, New York City, or should city be lowercase? New York City. Are there any changes that we need to make if you look specifically at that sentence? So we're going to choose the first option, right? Because New York City is with a capital letter, all capital letters. So well done. We spent a few weeks in England last year. So England, right, is should be written as the first option with a capital letter, or should we just leave it the same, like the second option? So England. And England, we're going to write with a capital letter, right? Europeans first arrived in South America in the late 1400s. So, South America, is there any changes that we need to make, or should we leave that sentence as is? So, South America, do we make changes? Do we change the word America, America, or capitalize South America? All right, so if we choose the correct one, we are going to choose the first option, which is capitalizing. And then there are beautiful beaches in and very old forests in California. So California, do we leave it the same, or do we either write it in capital letter or we leave it in lower cases? All right, so we are going to choose the first option, which is California. So well done. So it's basically just Samuel that is giving answers. So well done and thank you, Samuel. There are 6 floors, 25 bathrooms in the White House. So the word White House, do we write it as is or should we make any changes by either writing the first option or choosing the second option? All right, so we will choose the first option, which is White House, because White House needs to be written with a capital letter. So well done. So the first one. All right, so that is basically names of places and geographical features. Now we're going to capitalizing proper adjectives, nationalities, and languages, right? So when it comes to proper adjectives or proper nouns, right? Your nationality, like for example, if you are from Canada, then you are Canadian. The languages that you speak, right? Then those all of those needs to be written in capital I, like with the capital letter. It needs to be capitalized. So it says we need to click the correct capitalization if needed, right? So we watched a play at Lincoln Center. So Lincoln, right? So Lincoln Center is probably like a play, like some theater, right? Because they're saying we watched a play. And Lincoln Center stays the same because both is capitalized. The start of Lincoln, which is L for Lincoln, and C for center. So that is capitalized. And then the second one says, someday I would like to see the Great Wall of China. So the Great Wall of China, if you look at the Great Wall of China, do we leave it the same or are there any changes that we need to make to Great Wall of China? If you look closely at Great Wall of China, are there any changes that we need to make or do we leave it as is? And that is correct. China needs to be written with a capital letter. And if you look at the word of, right? Remember we said that if you write the word of or the within some form of title, right? And then it needs to be lowercase, right? We write it with small letters or lowercase. But as soon as you write of as a capital letter, right? As a first start of a sentence, then it needs to actually be capitalized. But here they also say we need to say great wall of. So they want us to capitalize that. But usually of and the is lower cases within a title. And then I love to go shopping in New York City. If you look at the word New York City, do we leave it like that or do we make any form of changes? New York City, do you write it as is? So what do we have to make in uppercases? What specifically do we need to change? Yes. So we need to write New should also be uppercases. New York as well as city. So well done, New York City. That is all capitalized. So well done, guys. New York City is the name of a city or a town. So now let's go to our test. So we are going to click to correct the capitalization if needed, hey? And if the sentence is already correct, then we do not make any changes. Remember, names of places, even sometimes names of buildings can be capitalized, but sometimes the word, if you make mention of a specific word, like for example, dog, if you say dog, my dog ran away, right? Then the word dog needs to be written in lowercase. But as soon as you write the name of your dog, then it needs to be capitalized. So, on our trip, we visited the tallest building I have ever seen. So, building, look at the word building. It's all written in lower cases. So, do we leave it as is, like number one for building, or do we capitalize building? So, on our trip, we visited the tallest building I have ever seen. So, do we choose option one, meaning it stays the same? Or do we choose option two, meaning that we need to write it with a capital letter? So we need to choose the correct one. All right, so we're going to, if it says I visited the tallest building, right? Then it just means that building stays the same, right? So that is correct. So it's lower cases, right? It stays the same, right? Because it's just a building. It's not a specific name of a building, right? All right, the Lincoln Memorial appears on both the penny and the $5 bill. So the Lincoln Memorial, if it appears on a penny and a $5 bill, then it really means that it has great significance. So do we write it in lower cases or do we write it with a capital letter? So do we choose option one or do we choose option two? The Lincoln Memorial. Do we choose option one or option two? All right, so we will choose option two because, if if it appears on a dollar bill or a penny, then it means it is of great significance, so it needs to be capitalized, right? So capitalization, so capitalize. So well done. So two is correct. Some of the oldest cave paintings in the world are found in Asia. So Asia, do we leave Asia as is, like the first option, or do we capitalize Asia, like in the second option? Asia. All right, so we will write Asia with a capital letter, all uppercases. So well done. Uppercases are correct. And then my city is more than 300 years old. So my city, do we leave it lower cases like in option one for city, or do we capitalize city? Because I'm just saying my city is more than 300 years old. Remember, I made an example of dog, right? Where I said that if you say that my dog likes snacks or treats, right? Then the word dog is written in lowercase. But as soon as you name your dog, then it is in upper cases. The same with city. If I'm just randomly saying that my city is more than 300 years old, if I just randomly say that my city is 300 years old, right? And then it means that we write it in lower cases. But as soon as I make mention of the city that I live in, then it is capital. Then it needs to be capitalized. So once again, city is written in lower cases, right? Small letters. Because if I just say that I live in that country, for example, right? But I'm not making of the name of my country, then it means that I need to write it in lower cases, right? But as soon as I make mention of the name of my country or the name of my city, then we need to capitalize it. Do you guys understand? Right? It's the same as saying that building is the tallest building, right? So the building that we made mention of, if I'm just saying it's the tallest building, then we write it in lower cases. But as soon as I, for example, put significant meaning to that name of the building, then I write it in capital letter. All right. Oh, sorry. All right. So that word Chrysler building was upper cases, right? Sorry about that, but upper cases are correct because Chrysler building, that is the name of the building, right? Because we didn't just say, if we just had to say building, then it would have been lower cases. So well done, guys. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on capitalization. We made mention that we capitalize names of places, names of pets, titles of respect, right? If you make mention of names of a building, remember you need to specify the name of the building in order for you to capitalize it. But if you just say that I live in that building, then it's lower cases. The same with your pet, the name of your pet. If you just say, I have a beautiful cat, cat is lower cases. But if you name your cat, then it is in a capital letter. So nationalities, if you are Canadian, if you are South African, if you are American, right? These are all words that or names of places that needs to be with a capital letter, right? Names of mountains, right? It's capital letter or upper cases. Beautiful cat, right, is in it's all lower cases, right? Because now you are putting an adjective to your cat, right? So beautiful is the adjective which describes your cat, right? But thank you very much, guys, um for interacting. Thank you very much for joining the lesson today. And I really hope that you are going to have an amazing day further. I hope you're going to have an amazing weekend, right? So, goodbye. What is the question before we go? You have a question, Emmanuel, before we go? Why do why don't I have a science? What's that? All right. I really don't know why we don't have science classes. I will speak to our supervisors about that, and then I will get back to you about the science classes. Okay? Guys, have a good weekend. Goodbye.